So hello, my name is Rudolf Krňoul. I am a Cloud Architect in Revolgy. I will be talking about, as I said, how we're actually saving, or maybe I should say avoiding a lot of costs by using like serverless or actually even Cloud Native or whatever, platforms that we can. And I will also mention some IaC, even though it's quite difficult to calculate. Since I'm a person that just jumped right into cloud, I never worked with any like normal infrastructure, any traditional infrastructure. So I'm under the impression that like moving right on the something as a service scale saves money. So you've probably seen pizza as a service also, just like me. I've recreated it without the pizza dough in our colors. I'm under the belief that there's some degree of things that you're actually losing by moving right. So you're losing a lot of customizability. You actually have to sort of believe in your platform providers that they're optimizing and giving you the correct prices for the things that they're giving you. So I did not mean to put that slide in, I forgot to remove it. Anyway, I have a small question, like how many of you, if you can show up your hands, have worked with traditional infrastructure, like actual data centers? Okay, so about half. So I have 2 slides for this. Some of us have never worked with traditional infrastructure. I'm one of those people, as I said. And I wanted to explore a little bit how much costs it actually, how much it would cost to create your own data center. And sorry, give me a second. Yeah, there will be some numbers. They are in euros, and they are relative to like Czech Republic, since that's where we are right now. So there's of course some personnel that would be needed to man the data center. The numbers that are shown here are actually from what I've been able to quite easily find on the internet, like on job posts, and it actually can get quite high, especially for the security engineers, and of course it gets a little bit lower for like hardware operators and stuff, but it's generally pretty high. The infrastructure itself, and here is when I was creating this presentation, I actually got a bit stuck because I realized that it's really hard to calculate something like this. I was able to find some numbers for how much the individual pieces of the infrastructure would cost. Like if, for example, you're trying to find some networking cables, if you're creating a whole data center, you might want to like buy them in not meters but kilometers. And it really does depend a lot on, like the whole cost depends on how nice you want to have your data center. If you want it to be unattended, or if you want it to be like secure against outages, you probably do. And you also, of course, want to have some plans beforehand. So if your data center is going to be expanding, then you probably want to make some sort of a deal in some sort of a building. As I said, I have no idea what to expect from that because I've never worked with it. But I'm like the price ranges just can be from this just for the basic data center to basically I think 4 times that. And of course, for the space, there's a little bit, and there's if you want to have a carrier-grade internet connection, you want to have some sort of a yeah, your provider will probably want like a monthly payment for that, and really everything does depend on the setup. I've calculated that maybe like you have 620 kilowatt hours per server, so that's 31 per one. And if you have, I don't know, in a single or rack, there can be, I don't know, 24 1U servers. So even for that small like part of the infrastructure that's like hundreds of euros. And as opposed to that, when you create something like a Lambda in AWS, you just have to write a piece of code. Maybe depending, of course, on your language, you choose some SDKs. 30 minutes is not maybe the best estimation, but if you know exactly what you're about to do, then it can be as low as that. And for the first, if I remember correctly, 1 million invocations, it's costs pretty much zero to run from your point of view, from what's built to you. And the second part I wanted to explore is actually how much money can be saved or is saved from your point of view by using IaC, by writing your infrastructure in code like Terraform or CloudFormation and stuff like that. And I found out that it's really hard to tell, but it's really nice to have. It can help you productize your infrastructure. It can help you actually avoid a lot of errors, because when you're actually creating the code, you will probably find some issues before you can even actually properly deploy it, and you have all of it, like the whole solution maybe in one repository. As an example for this, we, for one of our clients, created a repository of few CloudFormation files, and they were actually meaning to replace their basically identity management service or identity platform. And we've created specifically a Cognito stack with a couple of Lambdas that are automatically deployed using code pipelines that are actually the thing that's within CloudFormation, and there's a migration solution for that. So since they're moving from one solution to this one, they have in about, I don't know, 8 files, the whole solution for a completely new login system. And this was probably a lot shorter than it was supposed to be, but since the agenda got moved a little bit, we're at the end. So, thank you.